I think foreigners, especially Iranians, feel tabia a lot in Korea. For example, us Iranians, we have some problems with US, America, and it doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't relate to Korea, but they just closed our bank accounts last year for Hana Bank, and they didn't allow us to have accounts. And I received several calls that you can use your account and come and close your account. And I was just like, I'm a student here, how can't I have account even in Korea? And if you have problem, then why did you accept me or something like that? But yeah, I think it was a bad experience and trivial in my opinion.
사실 어떤 친구들 만약에 이태원이나 특히 이태원에 가면 어떤 펍이나 바 가면 만약에 외국인이라면 못 들어간다고 했어요. 만약에 외국인 등록증 없으면 못 들어간다고 했어요. 근데 친구들 외국인 등록증이 있었는데도 아니요, 못 들어가요. 근데 계속 물어봤어요. 왜 못 들어가요? 한국말 못하면 못 들어가요. 근데 친구들 한국말도 할 수 있었어요. 계속 질문하면 이상한 대답 왔어요. 친구들 뭐 외국인 등록증도 있고 한국말도 할 수 있고 특별한 이유 없었어요.
Like the only thing if they discriminate is the part they sometimes talk in Korean and foreigners are also there.
People do assume that I don't know Korean at all. So they, like if we're in an elevator and somebody's like, oh, 귀가 참 크네, and like would start a conversation about me, I would just be like, and like when we go out, if they like said a compliment to me and they're like, oh, like she's really pretty, like why is she so pretty? I would be like, oh, thank you, and just going, and they would be like, gosh. But sometimes it's not so good, and they would say like, oh, what is she doing here? Or like, a foreigner, like, why did she even come here? Like at these times, I usually try to like not show that I know any Korean, and I would just pass by something like this.
If you are a white person in Korea and you just walk down the street, people will be like, hi!
Sometimes people will just come talk to you just because they like speaking English and want to talk.
Oh, wait, I'm not from America. Why do you assume that I speak English? And why do you assume that just because I'm white, you can just run up to me and like push your hands into my face and like start waving and shouting at me?
They don't mean anything bad, they just want to learn English.
I think in Korea it's like 외국인, 한국인. And then for 외국인 it's like Japanese, Chinese, and another 외국인. And the priority is just at first for Japanese, Chinese, and then another 외국ins. Yeah, and I think it's just trivial because we are all foreigners and we are all from another country, even it's close or not. Yeah, it should be just the same for anyone. And for example, one of my friends just applied for a job, and it was written like it's for foreigners. And when she called them and asked the conditions, they just asked her if she's Chinese or not, and she was like, no, I'm Iranian, and she said that no, it's just for Chinese. And she was like, okay, if it's just for Chinese, why didn't you write it just for Chinese? Why did you write it's for 외국인? Yeah.
I'm on a foreigners in South Korea group on Facebook, and it's mostly Southeast Asians complain a lot about being discriminated.
Unfortunately, I do see a lot of my Southeast Asian friends get discriminated because there's this way of thinking in Korea that, you know, Koreans and maybe Japanese are like more like, I don't even know what to say about this, are like higher up there, and then Southeast Asians are like lower.
Maybe some of them feel that Koreans think of them as like kind of like under them. Sometimes people complain a lot and say like, Koreans treat me so bad and they are mean to me and they curse at me, and I just, yeah, like I don't experience that, but I've heard many times from Southeast Asia, people feel they're discriminated.
어떤 남자들 외국인 여자라면 좀 쉽게 사귈 수 있다고 이런 생각도 많이 들어봤어요. 그렇지 않아요?
Sometimes guys, they grab girls too easily. If that happens in the UK, maybe the security will kick them out. But it's not like that here in Korea. And I think the girls are used to it in a way, which is kind of bad. But they just kind of, even if they like pull the guy away, the guys just kind of grab their arms and stuff. You see it in the drama sometimes, they just grab their arm, but it literally does happen sometimes in clubs. So I think that is something that's sort of like this kind of superior, inferior to between men and women.
Everyone's going to discriminate everywhere. There's discrimination in the US, there's discrimination in every country in the world. When you have one group of people that are the dominant group, and then like you have smaller minority groups, there's always going to be discrimination. So in Korea, Koreans are the majority of the population. In the US, you know, discrimination is obviously a huge issue politically. I feel like that just happens everywhere.
I personally think it's just a lack of experience and knowledge about certain things. Because it can happen everywhere. If you go to Europe, if you go to the UK and you go to like a remote village, if those people that live in the village, they have never communicated with a foreigner, they will do very similar things. I think as time goes on, it's definitely changing. Like when I first came to Korea, like 2.5 years ago, and now I see a big difference. And it's just gonna get better.
I think Koreans are pretty sure that they're superb. Like a foreigner wouldn't be able to do as good as a Korean would. That's why they wouldn't be so happy to take me into the class. Because like, you know, Koreans are hardworking and everyone knows that. And like they would make everything to make it on time, to do everything they could. But only because I'm a foreigner, everyone assumed like, oh, she's like not gonna be as good.
Sometimes foreigners are discriminated against here because they're acting crazy. Like if you're yelling on the subway, Koreans are gonna fuss at you sometimes. Maybe there's an old lady who's angry because her day was bad and she'll fuss at you, and that person will be, oh, it's because I'm white. No, it's because you're talking too much and too loud. So I think if you act right in Korea, you won't be discriminated against.
Please don't. We really can try our best if we wanted to, and you're going like, I don't think you can do as good as this guy only because he's Korean. It's not giving me like motivation to try my best and be the best of me.
I think everywhere you go, there's going to be people who don't like certain people, but I think if it's like, for instance, Korean people, I think they should be a little more open to foreigners, and as well, foreigners should be more open to Korea.
It would be more better if you don't use politics with communicate with foreigners, and just forget about the politics and just communicate with us like a human. Yeah, without thinking about any politics or something like Kyungjae and our nationalities.
I think that it would be great if people here and also everywhere else in the world would just see a person for just the person without the skin color or like the nationality.
We are all the same, whether it's our color, our language, our religion, our gender.
Try to be friendly, just treat them like you would treat anyone else from your own country. And especially in Korea, I think it would be really great if people could give others a chance to first speak to them in Korean. Maybe just say hi in Korean, And then if the other person really doesn't speak Korean, then just go on in English. But maybe give them first a chance to show you that they respect your country, they love your country, and they try their best to communicate in your language.
Just be open and be welcoming. Make people love where you're from rather than making people, have this sort of negative image about where you're from. Whatever you do, the actions that you do, it will have big, big impact on many people around the world. So yeah, just love yourself and love the people around you.